Okay.
はい。
All right. Are we getting smarter?
Upside down.
Upside down. As usual, I make
いえいえい
mistakes.
え、綺麗です。Beautiful copy. Thank you very much. As usual.
IQ scores rose steadily in the 20th century. As scientists search for the reasons, they are shedding new light on the dance between genes and life experience that determines intelligence. The cops have put Tony, Uncle Junior, Silvio, Polly Walnuts, and Livia in a lineup, standing in spots numbered 1 through 6 from left to right. There's one empty space. Livia is the third person from the left. Tony is Uncle Junior's immediate left. If Polly Walnuts stands in space 6 with no one beside him, where is Silvio? 7 years ago, Jack was 3 times as old as Jill. If Jack is now 5 years older than Jill, how old is he?
And scientists search for the reasons. They are shedding new light on the dance between genes and life experience that determines intelligence.
So at the same time that the scientists are looking for some reasons for how genes and experience make intelligence, they are also giving new information on how that happens.
7 years ago, Jack was 3 as old as Phil. If Jack is now 5 years older than Phil, how old is he?
わかんない
It is very easy, but 7 years ago, Jack 14どうしていいの
どうした？I'm not the expert.
だってこれどうなんですか What is the correct answer? 7 years ago, Jack was 3 as old as Phil.
According to the end of the article, 14 and a half is the correct answer.
Yes. そうですよね。で、7 years ago, the 7 and a half. And Phil was 7 years ago. Phil was 3 as old as Phil. As old as
3 times as old.
3 times as old.
It says.
And now, 5 years older. だから、ジャックは5 years older だから、9 and a half?
Yeah. For Jill.
だから、あ、そうか。
I don't know what your question is.
Please explain.
Well, I don't know. I only know the answer.
Yes. Answer said 14 and a half.
Right.
それで計算というカリキュレーター。そうそう。
国谷さん、I am not a mathematician. なんで？
そうなんですか。はい。
はい。
そこまでですね。
I think she wants me to calculate. Oh, sweat. Yeah, you are the expert. Yeah, you are a Japanese expert. Yeah, so every Japanese in their genes is mathematics genius. Always. While generations of school children, military recruits, job applicants, and Mensa wannabes have wrestled with IQ questions like these, some smart scientists who study intelligence have been stumped by an even more exasperating puzzle. Why have IQ scores been rising? And not rising a little by a point here and there, but soaring 27 points in Britain since 1942, 24 points in the United States since 1918, 22 points in Argentina since 1964, with comparable gains throughout Western Europe, Canada, Japan, China, Israel, Australia, and New Zealand. The rise is so sharp that the average child today is as bright as the near genius of yesteryear. This shatters our belief about the rigidity of IQ, says psychologist Ulrich Nieser of Cornell University. It's powerful evidence that you can indeed change it.
While generations of school children, military recruits, job applicants, and Mesa wannabes have wrestled with IQ questions like these, some smart scientists who study intelligence have been stumped by an even more exasperating puzzle.
So many generations of people like school children, people entering the military, people getting a job interview, and people who wanted to do those things have always had to take some IQ questions, like these kinds of questions. And sometimes the people who, the smart scientists who do research about intelligence are frustrated because they wonder why IQ scores have been rising so much.
What is Mesa wannabes?
Good question. I don't know what Mensa is. Good question. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. Wannabe is want to be. So somebody wants to be like Mensa, but I don't know who Mensa is. Maybe that's some famous genius.
And not rising a little by a point here and there, but soaring 27 points in Britain since 1942, 24 points in the United States since 1918, 22 points in Argentina since 1964, with comparable gains throughout Western Europe, Canada, Japan, China, Israel, Australia, and New Zealand.
So those scores have been rising by a large number, going up, soaring by a large amount. In England by 27 points since 1942. Since 1918 in America by 24 points, and increased to 22 points in Argentina since 1964. and other countries like Canada, Japan, and some places like New Zealand, Australia, also had those kinds of increases, big increases. Japan, China, New Zealand, Australia.
The rise is so sharp that the average child today is as bright as the mere genius of yesteryear.
So that increase is so large that the typical child today is as intelligent as the almost genius child of past time.
This shatters our belief about the rigidity of IQ.
So these results completely change our thinking about how IQ is developed.
It's powerful evidence that you can indeed change it.
So these results show that it's probably true that IQ can change. There's just one little problem. Leaving aside for now the very real question of whether IQ is truly a proxy for intelligence, scientists can't explain what has made IQ scores take off. Neither nature nor nurture, genes nor environment answers the question. For different reasons, a slew of data from twin studies to adoption research suggests that genes a slew of data from twin studies to adoption research suggests that genes account for some 75% of the difference between individuals' IQs by late adolescence. That leaves precious little room for environment to play a role. But explaining the IQ rise by smarter genes makes no sense, because the genes in the population do not change quickly enough to explain that the chasm between the greatest generation and Gen Y. That would seem to make environment the leading suspect. But then you're back to that 800-pound gorilla in the corner. Psychologists who study intelligence mostly agree that hereditary factors explain the lion's share of IQ differences.
Leaving aside for now the very real question of whether IQ is truly a proxy for intelligence, scientists can't explain what has made IQ scores take off.
The scientists have no explanation for the increase of intelligence, and moving aside from now, the real question. So they don't consider now the idea that IQ is equal to intelligence.
その IQ スコアズ What has made IQ scores take off
go increase increase a lot.
Neither nature nor natural genes nor environment answers the question for different reasons.
So right now there's no answer for this question from natural point of view or from developing point of view.
A slew of data from twin studies to adaptation research suggests that genes account for some 75% of the difference between individuals' IQs by late adolescence.
So there is a lot of new information from two studies and adoption research, and that new information gives us the idea that genes equal about 75% of the difference between the person's IQ by the time they become late teenager or early adult.
That leaves precious little room for environment to play a role.
So that means that there's almost no possibility that the person's environment creates the change, increase in IQ.
But explaining the IQ rise by smarter genes makes no sense because the genes in a population do not change quickly enough to explain the IQ chasm between the greatest generation and Gen Y.
But it doesn't make sense. It's not reasonable to say that the increase of IQ is because the genes are more intelligent, because the genes in the population don't change quickly enough to they don't change quickly enough to show us how there is a big gap between the new IQ scores and the previous IQ scores. Greatest generation and Gen Y.
Generation Y.
X, Y, Z とか、
そうなんですね。
previous generation.
そうですか。That would seem to make environment the leading suspect, but then you are back to that 800-pound gorilla in the corner.
So, when we look at it, it seems that environmental situation is the biggest reason for the change. And but then, if you say that way, then you have then you have a big problem. Gorilla, 800-pound gorilla is a big problem.
In the corner program.
Psychologists who study intelligence agree hereditary factors explain the lion's share. So it's a kind of illusion. If you say environment, then the big problem is that psychologists say that usually most of IQ difference is from hereditary, which is not environment. That's right. どうする? It's the 800-pound gorilla. How can we figure out?
Psychologists who study intelligence mostly agree that hereditary factors explain the lion's share of IQ differences.
So they say that most of differences are because of heredity, passed from family member.
その lion's share of IQ differences. Lion's share.
And the biggest difference.
そうなんですか。
It's been a paradox, says William Dickens of the Brookings Institution. The high hereditability of IQ suggests that environment is feeble, but IQ gains over time against that environment is overwhelmingly powerful. To untangle the mystery, Dickens teamed up with James Flynn, who in 1987 discovered the IQ rise now called the Flynn effect. In a study being published this week in Psychological Review, the duo offer an explanation that not only might resolve the paradox, but may also shed light on the forces that shape intelligence. People's IQs are affected by both environment and genes, but their environments are matched to their IQs, the researchers conclude. In other words, genes do indeed have an important effect. They cause people to seek out certain environments, certain life experiences. If you have a biological edge in intelligence, for instance, you will enjoy school, books, puzzles, asking questions, and thinking abstractly, all of which will tend to amplify your innate brain power. Higher IQ leads one into a better environment, causing still higher IQ, says Dickens. And Flynn, thanks to that multiplier effect, you will likely study even more, haunt the library, pester adults with questions, and choose bright peers as friends, boosting your intelligence yet again.
It's been a paradox, said William Dickens of the Brookings Institution. The high heritability of IQ suggests that environment is feeble. IQ gains over time suggest that environment is overwhelmingly powerful.
So he thinks that there's that's a kind of dilemma. On one side, because IQ, most of IQ is inherited, that tells us that the contribution of environment is very feeble, very small. But when we look at increase of IQ over a period of time, that tells us that probably environment is very, very powerful.
To untangle the mystery, Dickens teamed up with James Ellie, who in 1987 discovered the IQ rise, now called the Ellie effect.
So in order to solve the mystery, Dickens joined with Mr. Flynn, who is the person who noticed the increase in IQ in 1987. And that was named the Flynn effect.
In a study being published this week in Psychological Review, the Due offer an explanation that not only might resolve the paradox, but may also shed light on the forces that shape intelligence.
So this week in the journal Psychological Review, there will be a study which is published, and the two men, Flynn and Dickens, will give some explanation that tries to solve the dilemma, and also might give us some more information on the kinds of things that help create intelligence. Determine intelligence.
People's IQs are affected by both environment and genes, but their environments are matched to their IQs, the researchers conclude.
So both environment and genes affect people's IQs. But their environments are matched to their IQs. Flynn and Dickey think.
In other words, genes do indeed have an important effect. They cause people to seek out certain environments, certain life experiences.
So, another way to say is that genes do have a big impact. Those genes cause people to go to certain environments or aim for certain environments and certain life experiences.
If you have a biological edge in intelligence, for instance, you will likely enjoy school books, puzzles, asking questions, and thinking abstractly.
So if you have a advantage in intelligence, you might enjoy school or books or puzzles or abstract thinking.
All of which will tend to amplify your innate brain power.
So all of those things like enjoying puzzles and books in schools, etc., will probably help you to increase your basic brain power.
Higher IQ leads one into better environments, causing still higher IQ, said Dickens and Flynn.
So if your IQ is higher, it will lead you to a better environment, which will make the IQ even higher, says Mr. Dickens and Mr. Flynn.
Thanks to that multiplayer effect, you will likely study even more, hunt the library, pester adults with questions, and choose bright peers as friends, boosting your intelligence yet again.
So there will be a an effect that multiplier, which will which will increase the possibilities. So you will study more, go to the library more, ask adults lots of questions, and you will find intelligent people to be your friends. And all of those things will help increase intelligence. Multiply.
You're talking to the more and more.
So. The dance between genes and environment starts young. A naturally verbal toddler will likely elicit hour after hour of reading from her parents, for instance. That will amplify her cognitive gifts even if her verbal IQ genes are only the slightest bit smarter than other kids. A modest genetic advantage turns into a huge performance advantage, says Dickens. But if you start out with a slight deficit in IQ, you may get frustrated by reading and cogitating, stumble in school and grow to hate learning, reinforcing your genetic bent. A modest initial difference, again, gets pumped up.
The dance between genes and environment starts young.
So the balance, the choice between genes and environment is that all of that choice or support or will happen at a very young age.
ダンスのバランスとかチョイス
I think so.
Naturally, verbal toddler will likely elicit hour after hour of reading from her parents, for instance.
So a young child who is very talkative by nature probably will ask parents to read to her for many hours.
That will amplify her cognitive gifts, even if her verbal IQ genes are only the slightest bit smarter than other kids.
So the opportunity to all that reading will increase her cognitive gifts, her thinking, her psychology. Even if her verbal side, her ability to talk, is only a little better than most kids.
Modest genetic advantage turns into a huge performance advantage, said Dickens.
So Mr. Dickens thinks that a small genetic advantage can become a very big disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Well, it becomes if a person has a small genetic advantage, it can become a very big advantage for doing things, for performing, showing your intelligence.
But if you start out with a slight deficit in IQ, you may get frustrated by reading and cogitating, stumble in school, and grow to hate learning, reinforcing your genetic bent.
So if you start with a small deficit in IQ, you might get frustrated when you are reading or cogitating, thinking, and you might have a hard time in school and decide you might start to hate learning and dislike school, which will reinforce your which shows your basic genetic style.
Modest initial reference again gets pumped up.
So that if there's a small early difference between those IQ rates in a situation like we just talked, that looks bigger.
ポンプラップというビッガー、
Pumped up?
ポンプラップ、
Bigger. So. As far as scientists can tell, experiences that boost the intelligence of someone born with an IQ edge have just about the same positive effect on people of average intelligence. In other words, whether you seek out an IQ-boosting environment or whether it finds you makes no difference. In either case, experiences and the social and technological surround should work their magic. This effect may account for the IQ rise over the decades. Crowded computer screens, video games, even fast foodery, placemats, and cereal boxes full of hidden training young brains in the pattern lines. Wait a second, that's not right. Crowded computer screens, videograms, even fast foodery, placemats, and cereal boxes full of hidden word games and mazes might be training young brains in the pattern analysis that IQ tests access. Smaller families, which offer children more individual attention and indulge their passion for whys, might boost a generation's IQ. Jobs that demand more brain power, more free time, at least some of which is spent reading, doing crossword puzzles, traveling to stimulating places, and technological gadgets that challenge our gray matter could also lift all IQ boats. Leisure and even ordinary conversation are more cognitively demanding today, says Flynn, an American expatriate teaching at the University of Otago in New Zealand. Teen multitaskers simultaneously IMing, downloading, and channel surfing may be exercising their memory, a component of intelligence, and training their attention to switch focus in the blink of an eye.
As far as scientists can tell, experiences that boost the intelligence of someone born with an IQ edge have just about the same positive effect on people of average intelligence.
So, scientists don't know for sure, but it seems that the experiences, the people who are born with an IQ advantage, the experiences of those let's see, one more time. Okay. It seems, but the scientists don't know for sure, but the experiences that increase the intelligence of somebody who was already born with an IQ advantage seems to have about the same positive influence on people who were born with average intelligence.
In other words, whether you seek out an IQ boosting environment or whether it finds you makes no difference.
So, in other words, it doesn't help you or hurt you, has no impact. If you try to find the environment to increase IQ, or whether that environment is around you by accident, without intention.
In either case, experiences and the social and technological surround should work their magic.
So in both cases, those experiences and the social and technological surround means environment should help increase your IQ.
This effect may account for the IQ rise over the decades. Crowded computer screens, video games, even fast food place, nuts and cereal boxes full of hidden words, games and mazes
might be training young brains in the pattern analysis of IQ tests. So that may be the reason that IQ is rising over the decades. And today, young people may be learning the patterns, the pattern analysis that IQ tests usually examine, because they are doing things like using computers and playing video games and reading a cereal box which has lots of word games and mazes. And those are the kinds of patterns on an IQ test. So another reason is today, many young people are learning. They're using computers and video games, and they eat cereal. And lots of children's cereal boxes on the back have games. Those games are word games or puzzles or something.
Yes.
So those kinds of patterns are exactly the kind of things IQ tests also have. So children are learning how to do those. So maybe they're becoming more successful. All of those complicated words. So you, I guess.
Who would be place?
So placemat. I don't know.
So the mazes and mazes might be training the young brains. Hidden word games, you said so. And
I said so.
So the mazes. Mazes.
You know a maze?
I don't know.
You tried to find children like, people like.
So maybe training young people's brain. Smaller families which offer children more individual attention and indulge their passion for words might boost a generation's IQ.
Also, so being in a smaller family, which gives children more individual attention from parents. and answering the children's questions of why might also be one reason increasing the IQ rate.
Jobs that demand more brain power, more free time, at least some of which is spent reading, doing crossword puzzles, traveling to stimulating places, and technological gadgets that challenge our gray matter could also rival all IQ boards.
So another reason that IQ rates might be increasing is because jobs require more intelligence, and there's more free time now, which sometimes is spent doing reading or crossword puzzles or traveling to interesting places. And also because some technological gadgets and devices are challenging our brains. Gray matter means brain.
Could also IQ boards.
Lift. Increasing IQ.
あ、そうですか。
Increasing the IQ.
そうですか。Leisure and even ordinary conversation are more cognitively demanding today, said Flynn, an American expatriate teaching at the University of Otago in New Zealand.
So today, leisure, free time, and even ordinary conversation are more challenging mentally than in the past, according to Mr. Flynn, who is American teaching at a university in New Zealand.
Expatriate teaching.
Like me, he's not teaching in his home.
そうなの。Teen multitaskers simultaneously aiming, downloading and channel surfing may be exercising their memory, component of intelligence, and training their attention to switch focus in the blink of an eye.
This is computer language. So teenagers who do many things at the same time, like downloading information on a computer and changing the channels on a television, might be exercising their brain's memory power, which is one part of intelligence. And they are training their attention to switch their focus very quickly. Okay. All these expressions of social and technological change have one key characteristic. They are enduring. In contrast, a temporary IQ boosting change, like an early childhood enrichment program or parents who provide intellectual stimulation only in their children's pre-kindergarten years, can have the staying power of a mayfly. The kids get this great intervention, but then they go back to their old environment, says psychologist Robert Sternberg of Yale University. Of course, they usually regress. Even 18 years of parental influence fades. All parents can do is hope that the love of learning they imbue in their child takes hold, causing him to seek out the experiences and people that will keep stimulating his intelligence.
All these expressions of social and technological change have one key characteristic: they are enduring. In contrast, a temporary IQ boosting change, like an early childhood enrichment program or parents who provide intellectual stimulation only in their children's pre-kindergarten years, can have the staying power of a mayfly.
So the one important thing of all of these changes, social changes and technological changes, is they continue. They're enduring. But the opposite side, in contrast, is that a temporary change in a temporary change for increasing IQ, like sending a child to early childhood enrichment in America today, like a preschool. Or another temporary one, parents who give intellectual stimulation only in the early pre-kindergarten years. Those things have the staying power. Those things continue only for mayfly, for a short period of time.
Mayfly.
Only in May. Only temporary.
そうなんですか。はい。
And Mr. Sternberg of Yale University says, in those situations, the children get this wonderful intervention, the wonderful involvement of a school or parent, but then they return to their old environment. And they usually go backwards, regress.
はい。Even 18 years of parental influence fades.
So even 18 years of the parents' influence can disappear, but get weaker.
そうですか。All parents can do is hope that the love of learning they imbue in their child takes hold, causing him to seek out the experiences and people that will keep stimulating his intelligence.
So the only thing a parent can do is hope that the child will love to learn, and that desire will continue, causing the child to look for other experiences and other people that will make him interested and stimulated. Those who believe in the power of genes and those who believe in the power of environment, says Dickens, are both right. Genes working through environment account for the lion's share of individual differences in IQ, but only because genes lead you to certain life experiences, which collectively form your environment. It is that environment which directly fosters IQ differences. People often have a fatalistic sense that IQ is fixed, says psychologist John Gabrielli of Stanford University. The Flynn effect shows that it can be enhanced by good environment. It doesn't have to be some fixed capacity you're born with. Oh, Silvio stands in space 4 and Jack is 14 and a half.
Genes working through environment to account for the lion's share of individual differences in IQ, but only because genes lead you to certain life experiences which collectively form your environment.
So most of the individual differences in IQ are from genes working through the environment. But that happens only because the genes that you have take you to a certain kind of life experience.